So, the third presidential impeachment trial in American history began today. And because impeachment is such a momentous occasion, the Senate had to kick things off with a formal proclamation.
The U.S. Senate is about to take on an historic and perhaps grueling task, the impeachment trial of President Donald Trump.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. All persons are commanded to keep silent on pain of imprisonment while the Senate of the United States is sitting for the trial of the articles of impeachment exhibited by the House of Representatives against Donald John Trump, President of the United States.
Okay, someone needs to get this dude a Red Bull. No, because he's announcing impeachment, but it sounds like a medieval times employee on his last day. Hear ye, hear ye, I don't get paid enough for thine bullshit. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. It's one of those phrases that has to be shouted. Certain phrases have to be shouted, like, make some noise, or you're not even my real dad. Gotta shout certain things. And despite the ASMR intro, Trump's impeachment trial is already filled with drama. Just look at the all-star defense team President Trump put together. Right? This is an insane team that Trump collected. It's got Ken Starr, the lawyer who is famous for doing the investigation that led to Bill Clinton's impeachment. And it's got Alan Dershowitz, who's famous for defending O.J. Simpson. So these lawyers are perfect for Trump because they have experience with super guilty people and super horny presidents. It's great. It's a good combination. But I will say this, Trump's lawyers may want to polish up their defense strategy because things have already gotten off to a rocky start.
The president's legal team offering the first glimpse of their defense, that the president did nothing wrong, did not commit a crime, and that even the Democrats' argument of abuse of power does not rise to an impeachable offense, something one of his lawyers, Alan Dershowitz, maintained over the weekend.
The articles of impeachment are two non-criminal actions.
But many constitutional scholars disagree. Trump's lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, himself once argued the opposite during the Clinton impeachment.
It certainly doesn't have to be a crime if you have somebody who completely corrupts the office of president.
Yes. It turns out that over the past 20 years, Alan Dershowitz's legal opinions have changed as much as his hairstyles. Because you see, right now he's saying abuse of power is not an impeachable offense. But back in the 90s, he says it was. And look, I mean, we all did something we regret in the 90s. I mean, I walked around in that Missy Elliott outfit for a whole year. Yeah. Every time I left the house, the garbage men tried to throw me in the truck. But according to Dershowitz, this is really interesting. What he said in the 90s was in fact correct. And what he's saying now is also in fact correct.
Previously, you said it doesn't have to be a crime if the person in office completely corrupts the office of president. Now you're saying criminal-like. So you're not. So corrupting the office of the president, is that in your criminal light or criminal-like?
No,
behavior?
no, it's not.
So
And
it's
that
not.
was rejected. That was rejected by the
so
framers.
You were wrong.
Look,
you're saying you were wrong back then.
I was saying that I'm much more correct right now, having done all the research, because that's the issue. I didn't do the research back then because that wasn't an issue. I've done the research now. I wasn't wrong. I am just far more correct now than I was then.
Wait, what? I wasn't wrong. I am just far more correct now than I was then. That is one of the most original lines I have ever heard in my life. And that's a great line for a lawyer, but thank God this guy doesn't work on a bomb squad. Because that would be a disaster. He would just be like, cut the yellow wire. Wait, cut the red one. I already cut the yellow one. Yeah, well, I wasn't wrong about yellow, but the red one is more correct. Don't worry, we're not gonna die. We're just gonna be less alive.